Hi again, thanks for joining me for my second video blog here on my horizicc.com. My name's Cece again, if you didn't watch the first video or you're new to this website, and I'm glad to have you. I wanted to say thank you for all the kind words and affirmations and encouragement after my first video last week. It was really a neat experience, and I've been really excited to do the second video, and finally am able to sit down tonight and work on this. So I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about fibromyalgia and what it is. I first learned about fibromyalgia just a little bit because of some online friends having it. But I really didn't know much about it other than the name, and that my friends were in a lot of pain at times. So I guess when I really started to learn more about it was when my mom was diagnosed. And I asked her when it was. I'm looking at my list again. I'm sorry. I have a list for everything. I forget otherwise. I asked my mom last week as I was planning to do this next part of the video when she was diagnosed, and she pulled it up in her records, and what she thinks is it was in '07, but for some reason I think it was I thought it was earlier than that. I thought it was maybe '05. So I don't know, but that's when she was diagnosed, and she was already, I believe, at that point at home on disability because of her migraine problems. And so this was just kind of another part that got added in to all this. When we were living in Abilene, Texas, which is in West Texas, we had moved there in '07, January 1st of '07, actually, so that Russ, my husband, could go to seminary at Hardin-Simmons University, Logsdon Seminary. So we moved there, and then I started taking classes as well at the seminary, I think in June of '07. And while we were there, I started having really bad back pain, primarily in my lower back. We didn't have health insurance at the time. I had been going to a low-income clinic in the city that was run by a religious group, and to get my medication for my thyroid disease, and also medication to reduce the number of migraines I have. So I was able to get those prescriptions through the low-income clinic. So when I started having this really bad back pain, I called and said, can I come in, and can we see if we can figure out what's going on? They just were like, it was a very brief encounter. They gave me muscle relaxers and said it'll get better. And it didn't. It just kept going and going. So as I started, as this was all happening in the midst of my mom having the disease, I started to do some research on it and look at it more and more, and I kept finding lists of symptoms that I had so many of the symptoms. And so I started suspecting maybe that's what this is. The pain spread into my whole back. It spread into my hips. It spread into my neck. And so I suspected that's what it was, but the low-income clinic would not deal with that at all. So I was just kind of at the point where I had to just deal with it. Well, we moved here to Houston in August of '09, and as soon as I got my insurance with the hospital, I went to the doctor and had a bunch of tests run, and was officially diagnosed with fibromyalgia at that point by my primary care physician. Now, I know some of you don't know what fibromyalgia is. I looked up in all my stuff, I've got books and all kinds of stuff about fibromyalgia. I looked it up, and if you want a technical definition, the best one I found is that fibromyalgia is a soft tissue or muscular rheumatism with widespread pain in the muscles, tendons, and other connective tissues, resulting in muscle pain without muscle weakness. So there's your technical definition. Now, what does that all mean? There are no tests that can be run to diagnose a person with fibromyalgia. They do tests to rule out other things like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, thyroid problems, which I have thyroid problems, but that is controlled by medication. And when it's controlled, when my thyroid, my hypothyroidism is controlled by medication, if it was a thyroid disease causing the problem, all my other symptoms should go away, and they don't. The best way that they know of to test for fibromyalgia is that they look at 18 points on the body. And these 18 points are 2 in the front neck area, 2 in the front chest area, 2 in the back of the neck, 2 in the back shoulder area, 2 in the shoulder blades, 2 in the elbows, 2 in the upper portion of your rear end. Sorry, that's just where it is. 2 in the rear hip and 2 in the knee area. Now, when a doctor puts just a moderate amount of pressure, which in a normal person, it wouldn't hurt for you to put this kind of pressure on those points. But for a person with fibromyalgia, when you put a moderate amount of pressure there, pain occurs. And if I'm remembering correctly, it's either if you have at least 11 or at least 13, I can't remember which one, of those tender points. So if you have 11 to 13 or more, that is, and you've run all these other tests and ruled out everything else, that's when they will diagnose you with fibromyalgia. So it's one of those, well, if you don't have all this, well, I guess you have fibromyalgia, which is kind of frustrating because people think then that it's not a real disease. You don't look sick, but you are. As I was looking through some more of my research and books, I found that fibromyalgia was not really considered a disease until 1990, and that's when the American College of Rheumatology officially did a classification of fibromyalgia. So people have been suffering with this disease for years and years and years, and it was only made officially a disease for like about 21 years ago. A little bit more about fibromyalgia. It affects probably about 10 million people in America. About 90% of those with fibromyalgia are women. And it tends to come into effect sometime between the age of 10 and 50. Usually seen in the mid-40s, but there's exceptions to that rule. It can be anywhere. There's been children diagnosed, all the way to the other end. The cause of fibromyalgia is not known. They don't know what causes all this pain and everything. Some of the things that they are looking at are genetics, especially mothers and daughters. The disease passing genetically between mothers and daughters. Infections. There is they think that there's possibly that there are some infections that might trigger or aggravate the disease if it already occurs, which makes me wonder, as I've done more on this, I wonder if the Bell's palsy infection might be what set a lot of this in motion, because migraines are a symptom of fibromyalgia, and the migraines really started up in a huge way around the time of the Bell's palsy. Also, there's a possibility that that a physical or emotional trauma might be part of the cause. There's been some people with who have like a car accident or things like that, and then the disease has really begun in them. There's not a cure for fibromyalgia. I think I told you that in the last video. They pretty much treat the symptoms. The symptoms of fibromyalgia can mimic 46 other diseases, which makes it crazy to try to deal with all this. I know I'm running out of time. I wanted to show y'all this. I know you can't really see it, but I wanted to talk about it. I have this list that a friend sent me in one of my online groups about fibromyalgia. And this list, it's like printed as like 7 or 8 pages of 100 symptoms of fibromyalgia. I went through and highlighted all the ones that I have, and I have like, I think 91 of them, which is crazy. But some of them, just a few of them, are fatigue, tremors or trembling, severe allergies, cold in the extremities in the hands and feet, dry eyes and dry mouth. There's the pain issues, the migraines, muscle pain, muscle twitching, joint pain. There's some of the neurological issues of lightheadedness or the inability to think clearly, which I call it fibro fog. Some people call it brain fog. Just not being able to remember things, or I lose words real often. I'll be like, I mean, even just this weekend, we were out with our small group, and I was trying to explain something, and I don't remember what the word was, but I was like saying, well, you know, it's like this, and it's shaped like this, and you know, and somebody finally figured out what I was talking about because I just didn't have the word. Tinnitus, the ringing in the ears, is a symptom. Dizziness. There's the equilibrium problems, dropping things frequently, which if you know me at all, you know I do that. My cell phone, my poor cell phone, I'm surprised it's still alive with as many times as I've dropped it. Sleep is a huge problem. Problems falling asleep, staying asleep, getting restful sleep. There's mood problems, depression, frequent crying, panic attacks. There's eye problems, frequent changes in prescriptions can be part of it. Sensitivities to odors, sounds, foods. There are urogenital problems, PMS, things like that. Gastrointestinal is a huge one. Problems with your skin, rashes, other problems, cognitive problems. I'm going to have to stop because I'm about out of time. But so this disease, just there's so much, and there's still so much I want to tell y'all. So I'm going to have to continue this in the next video. So for now, I guess I'll say goodbye, and I'm looking forward to sharing more about my journey with you next time. Comment on this blog. Let me know what you think. Ask questions, and I'll try to answer as many as I can in the next vlog. So for now, peace, and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.